Hello, everyone, and welcome to Something Wicked DocuFest 2024. I'm the host, Kevin L. Powers. As you know, some of the other interviews that you may have watched this weekend and our panel discussions and everything else that we have. We were going to continue doing our film interviews, our filmmaker interviews. And with me today is Bil Richardson, who will be talking about his film. But the amazing thing is he has some great stories to tell us that I'm going to let him do because his film is very interesting. So, for everyone out there, this is Bill. Bill, tell everyone who you are, what your film is, and what you did on your film.
Well, first of all, I'm not the host. Kevin's the host. I'm just talking. So I've been a filmmaker for many years, about 40 years. So for many years, I've worked on a little bit of everything. I've worked on feature films. I produced a TV series for the History Channel, done small shorts, commercials, everything that you can possibly do. On this film, pretty much a one-man band. I did everything on this: editing, directing, writing, assembling the footage. Shot some, but a lot of it is from different sources. One of the things you'll about this film is that it's an experimental film, and so it's a little bit difficult to define, but it's political, it's experimental, and it's basically nonfiction. There's a sort of a speculative element to it in part of it, but it is an unusual film. When you're coming to a documentary film fest, this is not going to be what you're expecting. And that's one of the things that I think will be nice. It'll be a nice change up for folks.
I agree. I think that the people watching your film will be able to realize that there are alternate ways of how to create a nonfiction film, and you did an excellent job with it. So, by the way, everyone, we're talking about his film, My Ideals May Turn into Insects. I have to make sure to look at that again because it's such a long title. But when you watch the film, you'll understand exactly why it is called that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about the film. So the film it's nonfiction. It deals with political issues, and I'm really proud of you guys for accepting this film because it's one of my goals was to piss off everybody, and so there are, if you're on the left of the political spectrum, there's things in there to piss you off, and if you're on the right of the political spectrum, there's things in there to piss you off. But what it tries to do is ask some hard questions of people on all sides of the spectrum, and to maybe get people to think about their position. You're not going to change anybody's mind, but if you can get somebody to at least ask a question. And so the film is got a very unusual setup. It's in 3 segments. The first segment of the film is basically to kind of throw you off, is sort of get you wondering, well, what the heck is going on? And, this is a documentary, what the heck's going on? And then the second film asks some sort of hard questions about people's different political views. And then the third section of the film is sort of, where could this go? Where are the differences that we have and these intractable misunderstandings or not understanding each other? Where could that take us? And so that's kind of the way the film's laid out.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and this is one of the reasons why I like your film, is the way that you mix these different political ideas. Because the first part of it, you're right, isn't really political, but it gets the audience, like, it jars them into the world that you're trying to create. And that's why I really like the first part, because I was like, huh. Now, just so everyone out there knows, and some of these people who have watched a lot of these interviews knows, when I watch these films, I don't read what any of them are about. I simply go in them cold. And when I watched your film, the very beginning of it was jarring. I was like, what am I watching? I don't know what I don't know what I'm watching, but it's oddly engaging. And then when you took the political angle of it, it was really it threw me off completely. But that's what I love about political documentaries. I don't. I love that people take sides or people don't take sides. My main thing about having a political documentary category is that it forces people to ask the questions.
That's awesome. And one of the things that I really admire about you and what I really appreciate is that this particular film, like I said, I'm trying to piss off everybody. A lot of your festival directors, they have their particular political views. And if you're watching a film that doesn't line up with those, then you tend not to want to show that film. There's not a lot of people that are out there, they're going to show something that they think their audience would not like, or that they personally wouldn't like. And so this film, it's going to step on just about everybody's toes a little bit. and the way that I deal with it is, instead of making statements, I ask questions.
Yes.
And so I'm not really trying to promote a particular view. I'm just trying to ask questions of people to say, have you considered, if this is the way you're thinking about things, have you considered this? That was really sort of my approach.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons. And I hate to say this, but our political genre usually gets the most feedback over the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Because we've done this for 5 years now. So over the years, we've screened a lot of different types of films in terms of politics, and that's one of the things that we want to do. I have been to lots of documentary film festivals, and you're right. You're absolutely right. There are festival directors who take a stance, and then they won't show films, but then you watch a bunch of political documentaries, and they all lean towards one way.
Exactly.
And I've never wanted to be that guy. I mean, I'm in politics just like anyone else, but I've never been that one to shut myself off to other people's ideals, because everyone has an ideal. They have a belief. They have a feeling about one way or the other, or the other. And the thing is, in order for us to be a more cohesive society, we need to be able to engage in conversation about all of it, and then come to some type of agreement once we've had that discussion. But if we don't have that discussion, we can't come to any type of agreement.
And that's what I really admire about being open-minded enough to show this film, because it is about having a dialogue. That's exactly what this is about. And I hope at the end of this film, there's some people I hope everybody's a little bit pissed off for different reasons. And I hope that people will have a dialogue about it. They'll say, well, I don't really believe this, but that was an interesting thought. That's what you pray for, when you're making a film, is that people will engage with it and will like some of it and be challenged by some of it, and then and maybe just mull over it. A little bit of enigma is a good thing. I don't want to make a film that's so tight and wrapped up at the end that you forget about it 5 minutes later. I want something you think about a little bit.
And doing your film as more of using nonfiction footage and using your the way you edit it, making it into an experimental film allows people to not be, I guess, inundated from one particular stance. I think experimental filmmaking, and I love to see this used in documentary filmmaking as well, is something that allows people to come up with their own ideals automatically. When you're watching an experimental film or an avant-garde film, the filmmaker is not trying to give you all of his own thoughts. He's trying to force you to come up with your own thoughts and your own feelings. And I think this film does exactly that, especially in the way that you broke it up in sections. Like I said, I really liked the first part, because the first part was like, oh, wow, what am I getting myself into? This is interesting, oddly engaging, and I'm not sure what I'm watching just yet. Yeah.
And that's good. And it's short. That part is short enough that you don't go, oh, I check out on this. That it's just weird enough that it's there. And like you said, it's kind of like watching a car wreck. You're going, okay, where's this thing going, man?
That's good that you say that. That's exactly what it is. You can't stop but stare, but that.
Hey, and let me just talk a little bit about that opening. That footage is all, let's call it found footage. It's old footage from these different films I'm a little bit of an expert in copyright films that are in the public domain.
Okay.
And so I keep running across these crazy different films that are in the public domain. And so a lot of those pieces are from that sort of stuff.
Interesting.
And one of the things is these particular films were, many of them were from the 40s. And it's really interesting to see how the world has changed and the outlook about things have changed, in almost, 80 something years.
Well, you had a lot of footage to the go through, and I'm like, wow. I don't, as much as I love making films, I don't envy you for having to do that, because it seemed like so much footage that you had to go through in order to pick out the stuff that you wanted for that whole beginning sequence. I was like, wow. I mean, because I didn't. It's what?
It's panning for gold.
I'm panning for gold. That's a good
A
way
lot
of
of stuff, little bit of gold.
Oh yeah, because that's a lot of footage that's in that opening, and I don't know how long that is. But you say
one of the films was it's from 1926. It was 2.5 hours long, and then the others are just pieces of. I mean, it's really about going through all these different films and finding the pieces. And every film is 30 or 40 minutes long, and you just start adding your multiplier to that.
Oh my God! So yeah, so anyone watching this will see you can create this. You just have to have a lot of time to go through a lot of different films to cull this type of footage together.
I do want to mention this. One thing that will give you an idea of how kind of wacky this film is it won at Burning Man.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. One of their main categories, they had a sort of the theme of the festival, and it won theme of the festival.
Oh.
And so, if you win at Burning Man, it's a little out there.
I'm sure a lot of our people know a whole lot about Burning Man. That's actually very interesting and impressive. That theme of the festival. Wow.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to make this film?
The first part was part of an experimental film I had done a while ago.
Oh.
And so I took that and re-edited it. And then so I didn't have the months and months and months of going through the footage problem with that beginning. So I knew what the pieces were. Okay. And so I could bring them together fairly quickly. But the film itself, I probably did it in about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. And like I said, it was a situation where I had been sick for a year, and I had been in a hospital bed for a year, and I had been going through watching a lot of stuff. And so in watching all these things, one of the things, it's a creative exercise for me. A lot of times you start with an idea and you work toward it. And what I did in this, and I've been doing with a lot of projects, is that I go out and do a lot of research and look through a lot of things. And then the pieces start to look like they could become a story. And I bring them together. And so this film was partly that, and partly just a lot of things I had been thinking about, especially the central part of the film where you ask the questions. And so it was like it had been percolating a long time. Yeah. And the actual rush to get it done was between 2 and 4 weeks.
Okay. And so now, have some of your other films that you've done, since you've mentioned that you've done several of them, been like this, nonfiction and experimental, or have you been doing just nonfiction or just experimental?
I've been doing mostly. I've done a lot of films that are either a music video or they're a silent film that is less than 3 minutes. Not silent, but that has no dialogue.
Yeah.
And so I've done that as a way to be able to have access to film festivals all over the world. Because if you're dialogue heavy, it's really difficult for people in another language to be able to find your films accessible. But so I've been working on this niche of films that were mostly less than 3 minutes and mostly their narrative. They do have a story, and then some of them are sort of experimental too. I've got a longer film called Footage that is the best cut of it. The longest cut of it's 11.5 minutes, and it's experimental, but it's also a lot of music, a lot of old footage, and no dialogue.
Okay. Now, we had a little conversation before we actually started recording for the episode in regards to you getting into a lot of film festivals, and that being the reason why you do the types of films you've done. A lot of filmmakers out there listening to this probably have never even thought about that. And I thought it was a very creative idea if you're working towards getting into a lot of film festivals, that doing short films that can actually translate easily to other languages is actually a great idea. Tell everyone a little bit about how successful that has been for you.
I have won over 100 film awards for short films, and I've been in 25 countries and 6 continents, all the continents except for Antarctica. And the only film festival in Antarctica, you have to live in Antarctica to get into it. So.
Oh, okay. See,
I'm not that committed yet.
But the ideal of a filmmaker like you, who has done this many films and gone to this many film festivals with your films, is a story I haven't actually come across yet. A lot of people I've talked to have been doing features, and the features take 3 to 5 years for them to make, and they have not nearly the experience that you have had or success that you've had with your films. But you've almost mastered a formula to make it so that you're successful. And I love to hear that story. So I was just enamored.
For young filmmakers, everybody wants to do a feature, and I've got one I'm working on right now. But if you're looking to get your work out there, shorter films are a great way to do that. And in a nutshell, the reason that I do these less than 3-minute films that are basically have no dialogue is that when you go out to the different festivals, there's a bunch of categories. If you find a festival that has many categories, the ones that you at least have, there's so many great films. I mean, I guarantee you've gone through thousands of films for your festivals that you're doing. And so it's really competitive. And so I think that the areas that you have the best chance of winning in are the really shorter films, because not a lot of people are doing. One of the hardest ones, okay, is a 1-minute film. And I have not mastered that yet. I've got a couple of them, okay? But it is really hard to do a 1-minute film. And what that means, though, is that if you can, then you got a decent chance of winning even in a big film festival, because that's a category it's really hard to do. And so, but the sweet spot for me has been these under 3-minute films, because there's a lot of festivals that have a micro film or an ultra short film category, and they're under 3 minutes. And so that's sort of been the niche that I went after, and I've just been really successful with it.
Nice. Yeah. Like I said, I've never heard of anybody who's done that. I've seen them myself, but since I don't make films that short, I've never bothered to even think about that. That there is probably a smaller amount of filmmakers entering those particular categories. It's very interesting.
Well, when you have a film festival that only has 2 categories, it's shorts and features, your chances, you might get in, but your chances of winning are just so long. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I wanted to win some. So I just working through the process, that's where I came to.
Oh, yeah, no, I like to hear that story.
You want to get in, but sure would be nice to win,
I will say that if my one film that has been really successful, and some of our audience members will know this, is the film I produced, which was about a racist vampire. It's a comedy, obviously, because the vampire doesn't know that he's racist, or if he is, because he's an old school vampire, like a Nosferatu vampire. But that translated so well to so many other countries, and that's been successful in other countries. Whereas here in the United States, it wasn't nearly as successful, because you're right. I entered it in a general category of comedy horror, and there are so many people doing those.
Absolutely. And so, what was your tagline? This guy sucks. I mean,
you know what? I haven't looked at the poster in so long that I've forgotten. But the poster did well, and the film did well, and that's my most successful one. Not any of the other films I've done.
well, the thing about it though is those kind of films. There's an audience out there. It's not Jane on her couch, in suburbia, but there are a lot of people that just, because I worked on a lot of underground films and things that were at trauma films, like Surf Nazis Must Die, those kind of films. I worked on those kind of films, and so that's an audience that's really passionate. Once you get to them, they're really passionate about their stuff.
Yep, they are. They are. So we spoke so much about you and so your process of the film is because yours is an experimental documentary film, and I do not want to tell too much to the audience because it is a film that you have to experience, in my opinion, not so much watch and just go through a plot that's linear. It's a film that has to be absorbed, and you're right that I took away from it after watching it for at least a day or two. And then I had to go to the other 200 films I had to go watch, which is unfortunate for me. But the thing is, I don't want to tell too many things about your film, but I do want anyone who's going to watch your film during our film festival or any of the other film festivals that your film goes to have a little insight from you in regards to any final words you want to say about your film to take away when they watch it.
I would say this. I hope you'll go into it open-minded. I hope if there's something that is said that you disagree with or that steps on your toes a little bit, that you'll at least think about that and just be open to it. Because the thing about the film is we've got this gulf in America right now where people have gone into their camps and they don't talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And they have a tendency to agree with things so passionately on one side and then have a complete blind spot to the same thing happening on the other side. And so what this film is trying to do is to say to us, we've all got blind spots. Let's just admit it and then talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's really where I was trying to go with the film.
Okay. I agree with you. I think and like I said before, I love the political documentary category because hopefully as documentary filmmakers and nonfiction filmmakers, we can create films that allow people to have a dialogue in regards to some controversial subject matter, whether it be animal rights, abortion, politics. The thing is, we love to engage in nonfiction films, but we want to actually have a conversation with other people, both with people who agree with our ideals and those who may have differing ideals. I hope that when people watch your film and all the other political documentaries that we screen this year, they will at least be open-minded to other people's ideals. I want nothing but that to happen during our film festival. So I want to thank you, Bill, for joining us for this year's Something Wicked DocuFest. I want everyone out there to enjoy his film. And if you end up missing it this weekend, please go out there and check it out on any of his social media sites. If there are some, I have some posted.
I would say Bil Richardson, Bill with one L, BillRichardson.com is a place to access. I've got books and films and a lot of different things going on. So that's a good starting point.
There you go. I want to thank you all for joining us for Something Wicked DocuFest 2024. And thank you, Bill, for allowing us to screen your film. We wish your film nothing but continued success. And then hopefully you'll enjoy the weekend and go watch some more films and watch some more interviews. Thank you so much and have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.